The spirit of a city is often formed by its geography, its past challenges, its history. The steel spans of the bridges that cross the rivers of this city is symbolic of the fortitude of its past. The skyline intermingled with the vintage skyscrapers, reminders of a downtown that led America in its industrial revolution. Perhaps no other city better embodies the spirit of America than Pittsburgh, one of the many reasons it has become a popular tourist destination. Maybe a lesson for America today. It's a story of immigrants, perseverance, and faith, a hard-working blue-collar town coming together. Its past inspires us to keep grinding, miracle comebacks, to battle as a community, to care for those less fortunate. We are all family, to look at the positives, that we are all neighbors regardless of race or background. In this video, we will take you on one of Gateway Clippers riverboats, as well as show you a couple of other ways to cruise the rivers. We bike along Three Rivers Trail and across the bridges to Point Park, where the three rivers meet. We'll take you inside the Heinz History Center, where you can learn about Pittsburgh's inspiring past. Also to the Science Museum with interactive exhibits show PNC Park and Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field. On the south shore of the Monongahela River, we go up an inclined railway to Mount Washington. Also check out Station Square. Then head north along the Allegheny River to the Strip District. Explore the Pittsburgh Zoo Aquarium, see some exotic animals and unique sea life, where you'll also find penguins like Latang, Malkin, and Crosby. See more furry friends hanging around. Smile. We go to Shenley Park, where the Phipps Botanical Garden is located at. We will also share dining options and travel tips. Well, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, so let's get started. Come with us as we explore Pittsburgh. The best way to enter downtown Pittsburgh is through the Fort Pitt Tunnel on I-376 coming from the south. A big scene in the 2012 movie The Perks of Being a Wallflower was filmed here. As you exit the tunnel, bam! The skyline of Pittsburgh ahead on the right. Crossing over the Fort Pitt Bridge, it is one of the best highway entrances into a city. Point Park to the left, but don't be admiring the beauty for too long because Pittsburgh traffic is crazy. I'm filming this on a holiday, which is why you don't see much traffic now. But when you enter a bridge, you'll have 3 to 4 options on the other end. You have people in the left lane trying to get in the right lane and vice versa, and you have about 300 feet to make the decision. If you are waiting on your GPS to direct you, forget it. I suggest if you don't know these streets, pull up your route on Google Maps before you leave your hotel and know in your head where you are going, what lanes you want to be in while you are crossing the bridge. It will save you a lot of stress. We are pulling off I-376 here to cross the Smithfield Street Bridge back over the Monongahela River. This is one of the better bridges of Pittsburgh, a good one to cross over on foot or by bike, as it has a wider pedestrian path than many of the other bridges. We are going to the Station Square area, an entertainment dining district that we'll show later in the video. But it's also a good place to park. There's plenty of parking. It's $6 for up to 3 hours, $10 for 8 to 12 hours. From the parking lot, there's a pedestrian tunnel that has murals which portray some of the history of Pittsburgh. Fort Duquesne, the previous name of Pittsburgh, was a highly coveted area for both the French and the British, being at the intersection of 3 waterways. George Washington, while still in the British Army, arrived in Fort Duquesne in 1753, his first of 7 trips to the area. 5 years later, it would be named Pittsburgh in honor of British statesman William Pitt. It became known as the Gateway to the West, as Lewis and Clark began their famous expedition to the Oregon's west coast from Pittsburgh in 1803, commissioned by President Thomas Jefferson. The Heinz History Center has an exhibit, Journey of Rediscovery, tracing the path of Lewis and Clark. Before the rise of steel, Pittsburgh was known for its glass making. By 1920, 80% of the glass made in the U.S. was coming from Pittsburgh. Irish and German Catholics began settling in the 1840s, and Polish immigrants began arriving in the mid-1800s. During this time, Pittsburgh played a big role in the Underground Railroad with journalist Martin R. Delaney, who joined Frederick Douglass in publishing the abolitionist newspaper, the North Star, in 1847. 1870 to 1910 was considered Pittsburgh's golden age, fueled by the iron industry. The immigrants contributed their labor, skills, and what little money they had to build churches, schools, and hospitals that ministered to their communities and offered a hope for a better future. You can still see the amazing architecture of many of these churches still standing today. You can learn about all this at the Heinz History Center, $18 for adults, $9 for youth, 6 to 17. As for the sports history, we'll cover that in a bit. For now, let's hop on the riverboat and show you more around the waterways. There are a few ways you can cruise the rivers, but Gateway Clipper Cruises is the largest with a few different boats. They sail year-round and in summer from Wednesday through Sunday, with about 7 cruises a day. For a 1-hour sightseeing cruise, it's $29 for adults, $15 for children, plus taxes and fees. They also have lunch and dinner cruises. The narrator on this cruise, whose name was Rachel, gave the best narration I have seen. Lots of good info, very enthusiastic. She even offered bottled water for Bella.
As we have recently left the Monongahela River, it's a muddy bottom river. So say you were to dive down to the very bottom of the Monongahela River, it would just be a very muddy, gooey mud bottom. That is mile marker 0 on your right-hand side, the start of the Ohio River on your right-hand side, and it travels all the way down on your left side.
The Monongahela River, one of the few major rivers that flows from south to north. It begins in West Virginia, flows for 132 miles through southwestern Pennsylvania, and then meets with the Allegheny River here in Pittsburgh. The Allegheny River runs from near Pennsylvania's northern border, flows into New York for a little bit, travels a total of 325 miles. The two rivers then join right here at Point Park and form the mighty Ohio River. That travels for 981 miles. Where it joins with the Mississippi River. From there, it's another 1,000 miles to the Gulf of Mexico, thus making Pittsburgh accessible to major oceans. Having 3 rivers created a need for many bridges. With 446 bridges, Pittsburgh has more bridges than any other city in the world, including Venice. The Smithfield Street Bridge, the oldest steel bridge in the U.S., was created by John Roebling, who designed the Brooklyn Bridge.
Sometimes I get lonely, even in a crowd. We're all desperate strangers reaching out.
The 3 yellow bridges near PNC Park that look very similar are known as the Three Sisters Bridges. They consist of the Roberto Clemente Bridge, 6th Street, the Andy Warhol Bridge, 7th Street, and the Rachel Carson Bridge, 9th Street. All 3 of these bridges have a good, safe pedestrian path.
Together we'll tear down our fences and turn them into bridges, and turn them into bridges.
In my opinion, Pittsburgh has the most beautiful skyline in America, which is why doing a cruise is a must-do.
Pittsburgh native movie director George Romero, he directed some of his scenes in the movie Night of the Living Dead in the basement of that building.
The tallest skyscraper in the city is the U.S. Steel Tower at 841 feet. It was the tallest building outside of New York and Chicago when it was built in 1971. Today, it is the 5th tallest in Pennsylvania, with the top 4 being in Philly. Second tallest in Pittsburgh is the B&Y Mellon Center, which features an 8-sided design. Third tallest is 1 PPG Place. Considered the crown jewel of the skyline, built in a neo-Gothic style with its castle-like glass spires at the top. It is accompanied by 5 other smaller buildings. There's an ice skating rink at ground level around the base during January and February. The Art Deco-style golf tower, one of the taller historic skyscrapers, has survived many things through the years, including a bombing in 1974 by the Weather Underground. There's the historic Fulton Theater. With a blend of modern and historic architecture, surrounded by rivers and iconic bridges, Pittsburgh's skyline never gets old. What say you? Granted, some of the bridges could use a new coat of paint. Don't jump! We continue on our cruise up the Allegheny to another impressive piece of architecture, the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. This weekend hosting Anthrocon, a furry convention that happens around June or July, draws over 7,000 interesting furry characters. So I asked one of them, where's PNC Park? The Gateway Clipper Cruise makes a U-turn just after the convention center and heads back towards PNC Park. PNC Park, which replaced Three Rivers Stadium in 2001, is considered one of the best ballparks to watch a game. Sports Illustrated ranked it 4th as the best view, but I'd have to say I think it's number 1. They put LA, San Francisco, and Anaheim ahead of it. I don't see it. With the low center field bleachers, it's a perfect view of the skyline behind the Roberto Clemente Bridge. Roberto Clemente, a famous Puerto Rican ball player, a Hall of Famer who played for the Pirates from 1955 to 72. A class act of a human being. Sadly, he died on the last day of 72 in an airplane crash after delivering help to earthquake-devastated Nicaragua. For $21, you can take a guided tour of the Roberto Clemente Museum, which includes wine tasting. Before there was PNC Park and Three Rivers Stadium, there was Forbes Field, where Nazarowski hit a walk-off home run in the 1960 World Series, one of the great moments in Pittsburgh history. Now approaching the Ohio River. Did you know there happens to be a football team that plays in this town as well? They play right here at Acrisure Stadium, just renamed from Heinz Field a few days ago. Acrisure, a Michigan-based insurance broker. Gonna take a while to get used to that name. Heinz is still sponsoring the Steelers, but in other ways. The Steelers tied with the Patriots for the most Super Bowl victories at 6. Perhaps the most famous play in Steelers history did not lead to a Super Bowl. It was dubbed the Immaculate Reception, with a Franco Harris miracle catch on the last play of the game in 1972. All this you can see at the Heinz History Center. Also sections of the museum for Penn State and also the University of Pitt, where Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett played. Just outside of Acrisure Stadium is a place where Steeler fans can ease their anger over the new name, a statue of Mr. Rogers, who reminds us it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Speakers here play his calming voice. He was born and raised in Latrobe, 45 minutes east of Pittsburgh. You can see a scale model of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood at the Carnegie Science Museum next to Acrisure Stadium. General admission is $20 for adults, $12 for children 3 to 12. Includes a tour of the USS Raquin, a submarine that served from 1945 to 1968. There's a lot of interactive exhibits, more so than most museums I've seen. There's a guitar room with this massive Gibson guitar you can play. There's live demonstration shows and a huge miniature model railroad that we've already showed a little bit of. It has scale models of historic Pittsburgh, shows some of the landscape of southwestern Pennsylvania, represents all 4 seasons. There's a planetarium with astronomy shows, a section on water, and small tanks showing sea life. For an additional charge, a giant cinema and laser shows. A 2-minute walk from the Carnegie Science Center is another cruise, the Rivers of Steel. For a 90-minute cruise, it is $25 for adults, $12 for children 4 to 17. They also have educational programs and specialty tours, like the Hardest Working River Tour that gives a lot of history on the Monongahela River. There's Pittsburgh Party Pontoons, offers an hour and 45-minute cruise aboard a pontoon boat for $50 Monday through Thursday, $58 Friday through Sunday. Or a pedal boat for $42 Monday through Thursday, $46 Friday through Sunday. Cruisin' Tiki's Pittsburgh offers a 2-hour private sightseeing cruise for $410 for up to 6 people. Children 13 years and above are allowed. They provide the coolers and ice. You bring the beverages and snacks. You can board the Tiki's either near PNC Park or at the marina and landing at Station Square. I'll show you around Station Square and the South Shore in a bit, but for now, let's hop on a bike and tour the Three Rivers Heritage Trail. If you don't have a bike, you can rent an electric bike at Adams Solar Rides at Station Square. The Station Square East Lot is a good place to park to ride the trail. There's a large air pump on the walkway leading to the river, west side of the Glass House apartment building. The Three Rivers Heritage Trail is a 33-mile trail that has segments on both banks of the Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio rivers, and across the bridges, offering great views of the city. We are going to cross over the Fort Pitt Bridge. It does have a little narrow pedestrian path. The Smithfield Street Bridge is better for bikes, wider path. Probably better to cross on that bridge. On the other side of the bridge is Point Park, the site of former Fort Duquesne, also where Fort Pitt Museum is located at. Point Park is ADA accessible now. Features a 150-foot fountain with an overflow waterfall and a reflecting pool with a seating ring. There's also benches and restrooms. Steps around the fountain to gaze out at the Three Rivers and the boats. On the Allegheny side of the park, there's large steps that make good seating overlooking Acrisure Stadium and the rest of the North Shore. When in Pittsburgh, you have to try a pierogi, a Polish delicacy. They are dumplings filled with potatoes and cheeses and other foods, served with sour cream or butter. Some of the popular places to get them are Pierogies Plus in the McKee Rocks part of Pittsburgh, or the S&D Polish Deli in the Strip District. But both were closed on this July 4th, so I ordered them from Redbeard's on 6th. They are pretty good. Bella didn't care for them, but loved the sour cream. Alright, time to head back to the South Shore area and take you up one of the inclines. We passed by the Fort Pitt Museum, back over the Fort Pitt Bridge. Mount Washington sits on the South Shore of Pittsburgh, home to Grandview Avenue's Restaurant Row for upscale seafood and Italian restaurants. In Pittsburgh's early years, the hills were once dotted with 24 inclines, cars that are pulled up a hill by a system of cables and pulleys, first built to move coal, but then later to transport people. Today, there are 2 inclines left. The Monongahela Incline is across the street from Station Square. It's $250 one way or $350 round trip. It accepts credit cards. A mile away is the Duquesne Incline. Parking much more convenient at this incline, with a lot across the street and a short elevated pedestrian bridge to incline. It is $250 each way, $5 round trip. Children 6 to 11 are half price. This incline only accepts cash. This one might slightly have the better view, being across the river from Point State Park.
And it got its name from the price of admission, which wasn't...
At the top, a small museum and an observation deck with probably the best view of Pittsburgh there is. You can grab a bite to eat or drink at the Steel Mill Saloon. We head back down the incline. Taking the Three Rivers Trail back to Station Square. Station Square is one of the most popular entertainment, nightlife, and dining districts of Pittsburgh. It's on the grounds of what was formerly the hub of the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie Railroad. The former railroad station converted to an upscale restaurant, the Grand Concourse, with seafood and steaks, also a casual saloon here. The railroad is still active along the riverfront. There's also a station for the T. That's Pittsburgh's light rail system, with 26 miles of track that goes to the suburbs and into downtown where it becomes a subway. Station Square is anchored by a Hard Rock Cafe. Across the courtyard, the fountain at Bessemer Court. Plenty of eateries here. There's a Brazilian restaurant, Texas de Brazil, a Melting Pot, a Buca de Beppo Italian restaurant. I am going to get a bite to eat at Joe's Crab Shack, serving crab buckets and stuffed shrimp and seafood. A nice patio right on the Three Rivers Trail, overlooking the downtown skyline, and with an occasional train going by as well. I had the crab stuffed mushrooms, which was an appetizer. And along with the crab and shrimp nachos, another appetizer. Was delicious. Probably enough for 1.5 people. Lindsay here gave us great service. A couple of miles up the Allegheny is the Strip District. From 1800 to 1860, this area went from a rural retreat to a region densely populated with homes. And for the next 100 years, this 13-block area made a significant contribution to Pittsburgh's commercial industry, helping to provide goods, services, and food to support Pittsburgh's growth. Today, this is a foodie haven. This hip district is lined with old-style grocers, gourmet eateries, produce stands, sidewalk vendors. Bella wanted to mention it's pet-friendly. There's also souvenir stands and upbeat bars. This is where you can get a good taste of authentic Pittsburgh. Also a good place to start your day with lots of options for fresh roasted coffee. I'm trying La Prima Espresso Company. There's also the coffee and cacao bar with pistachio or macadamia lattes. They also have Colombian bites, smoothies, and bowls. There's Luke Woolley's Wild Alaskan Grill, Roland's with elevated outdoor seating, Little Bangkok Thai Restaurant, a Vietnamese grill. Also the Super Long Terminal Building, which opened in 1929 as the Pennsylvania Railroad Fruit Auction and Sales Building. Today it's a large food hall with a winery. I'm going to try the Cafe Raymond, also with elevated outdoor seating. It's a counter-serve restaurant where you place your order, then go find a seat. They have breakfast, grilled sandwiches. I'm going to try a veggie wrap. Good healthy ingredients to give me lots of energy for the day. One of Pittsburgh's most famous eateries is located here, Primanti Brothers, where you can get true Pittsburgh food with fries and coleslaw inside the sandwich. That's how they do it here in the Burgh. In Pittsburgh, the zoo and the aquarium are at the same place. So for one admission of $20 for adults, $16 for children 2 through 13, you can see both. This is probably the best value of any zoo I have filmed. There is a lot of walking. It covers a wide area. It is completely wheelchair accessible. I'd recommend printing a map from the website and plan where you want to go. There's events that happen throughout the year. One of the most popular is the Asian Lantern Festival. That happens around mid-August to the end of October. They also have ziplining, but was closed at this time. They also have polar bears here, which is at the water's edge section near the aquarium, which I saw for a second but wasn't quick enough to get a video of. There's rays, sea lions, and penguins. To the right, there's Sidney Crosby, Latang, and Malcolm. This is not the only place in Pittsburgh where you can see penguins. You can see penguins right here at the PPG Paints Arena. The Penguins, one of the NHL's most successful franchises, have won 5 Stanley Cups in their history. We now move to the last area of our video. About 4 miles east of Point State Park, just off the Monongahela River, is the Squirrel Hill and Oakland areas of downtown, where a couple of universities are at, as well as Shenley Park, Pittsburgh's second largest park, but probably more famous. Named one of America's coolest park, has several miles of hiking, a large pond, and in winter there's an ice skating rink here. Also here, the Phipps Conservatory and Botanical Garden, with 15 acres, a 14-room glass house, and 23 distinct gardens. It is $20 for adults, $12 for children 2 through 18. Just be aware there is limited parking, so allow yourself some time. Just across the bridge from the gardens is the University of Pittsburgh, home of the Panthers, who compete in the ACC Conference. The campus includes historic buildings, part of the Shenley Farms Historic District, most notably its 42-story Gothic Revival centerpiece tower, the Carnegie Museum of Natural History and Museum of Art. A fee of $20 for adults, $15 for children 3 to 18 gets you inside of both museums.
We are not so different. I want to know your name.
Andrew Carnegie was a Scottish-born American industrialist, immigrated to the Pittsburgh area in 1848. His company built the first steel plants in the U.S., bringing innovation to American manufacturing. He gave away much of his wealth for charitable causes, being one of the great philanthropists of his day. So many great stories like this from Pittsburgh's past can guide us as a nation as we move to the future. Suffering produces perseverance, which will produce character, and character will produce hope. The principles of Mr. Rogers are still valid, even though now we are all grown up. Recalling past victories, times where we overcame with the help of God. To focus on what we have versus what we don't have. To care for our neighbor. It truly can be a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
But we don't need to feel alone.
To get down in the trenches, to work hard, to give it all you got. Pittsburgh's perseverance, its fortitude, its spirit, is still alive today, as strong as ever, and is so inspiring.
Will you join me on the journey? We can walk each other home. Come sit beside me. Tell me your story. Together we'll tear down our fences and turn them into bridges. And turn them into bridges.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on this city in the comments below. We are Tampa Aerial Media. We film travel promos across the USA. For footage of our videos, or if you would like to hire us to film your city or region, contact us at info@tampaaerialmedia.com. Next, we go up to northern Michigan, to Mackinac City, and so many beautiful harbor towns up there.
Together we'll tear down our fences and turn them into bridges. And turn them into bridges. And turn them into bridges. And turn them into bridges.
From southwestern Pennsylvania, I wish blessings to you wherever you may be.